Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
I started a website that is in a blog format, and a blog is just an open format for anybody to write publicly or privately, whatever you want. And I called it This Is My Town, Bemidji. It's based off I Live Here SF for San Francisco, but San Francisco being bigger can say that. I felt like, to me, it's a town. It's small enough to still be a town, so I called it This Is My Town, Bemidji. And basically what it is people in town or around town that love this town, that appreciate what this town has to offer, write a story about themselves based around the town. This particular project I've been doing since February. Blogging itself I've been doing for over a year. I started December of last year. And I started with my own personal blog just as a way to, it was actually a way to appease my friend, because I would rant on the phone about certain whatever happened at the store or something on the news, and she said, oh, you should write that down. Your perspective is hilarious and different. And I, no, I'll just tell you. And then for Christmas she said, all I want is for you to start a blog. And so I did. And it was great as a stay-at-home mom to have that place where I could actually talk to people, and then you get comments. People comment back, other bloggers, and so I've been doing that for over a year. And through that, I came across a lady in San Francisco named Julie Michelle, who had a blog, and she became unemployed. She was one of the many, struck by the economy, lost her job, and started roaming the street with her camera, and ended up in San Francisco. She ended up in one part of the town and took a picture of a lady in a store and sat and listened to her story because she had nothing else to do. She was unemployed, and she wrote her story down, and it started from there. Other people seemed to like it, and so she started doing it, and she made out one call basically that said, do you want to write a story and tell me your story about San Francisco? And then she took the pictures, and she's never asked a person since, because they've all been saying, I want to tell you my story. And I've been following that for over a year, thinking, oh, I should do that here. I should do that here. I should do that in Bemidji. I should follow through. And after a year, I finally decided to do the same thing. And so I made a cold call to Mike Wiltsey at the tattoo parlor after I saw his art here at the Wild Hare. I figured an artist and a tattoo artist at that, he being both, would maybe be a little more laid back and willing to try something. Because I had nothing. I had no website. I had a camera. I didn't even have my camera with when I asked him. I just popped into his store and said, hey, would you wanna? He said, this may go nowhere. You may be the only one. And I said, if nothing else, you get some pictures out of it, maybe. And he said, sure, I have a story. And I said, well, do you want me to help you? He's like, no, I know my story. I have a story. And he did, and it's a great story. And so from there, that gave me confidence then to ask somebody else. And after you ask two people and they do it and they do great, then it's like, I can do this. And so I've been doing it since, and I've had to ask people, unlike Julie in California, people are a little more humble here. They're a little more, I don't really have a story. Nobody cares about me. We're raised that way, though. We're raised to just kind of be like everyone else and achieve, but just don't brag. Don't brag, I guess, is what it is. A lot of that. I even find myself doing that to my kids, and I think it's very Minnesotan. When I have asked people to participate in this project, I have looked for the everyman, the common day. I don't want necessarily the headliner and gladly I'll take their story. But a lot of people already know their story. Well, they assume they know their story, which is why I would gladly take their story, because there's always this, a story that you're not telling about yourself. But what I'm looking for is the common person, the person that seems every day, the person that seems, blends into the masses, but each of us is individual, and each of us is amazing, and each of us makes up this town in a certain way, and if one of us left, it would matter some way. And I'd like to capture how that person, that everyday person, is special. But my idea of having an open invitation is because if I only ask people, then it's not a very good picture of Bemidji. It's my Bemidji, it's not Bemidji. Because I only know a certain amount of people. And it would just be the life in Julie then. You know, Julie goes here and she talks to this person, she goes here and she talks to this person. Whereas if somebody out of the blue contacts me, that's a much better picture of the town. You know, I don't want just the people that are out in the public every day. I want the tow truck driver. I want the guy that picks up my garbage. I want, you know, the guy that works behind in the storeroom in some store. You know, everyone has a story. I just want to know it. I'm trying to keep a lot of my stuff downtown, and I find it very interesting that the people that I get their stories connect with downtown, which is awesome because that's how downtown lives. So it's a great promotional tool for the town, and it gives people that live here pride. It's very important to be proud of where you live, especially when it's 32 below and you're trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing here and why am I not where it's warm, you know? But then on those days, those are the days that you find people smiling, and they're smiling because, you know, we're hardy, and the hardy people are out on those days, and it's almost like I've accomplished something by, you know, conquering 32 below. And so my hope is that it helps promote the town, that it gives people a sense of pride, that people feel more connected, and I think eventually it'll help people respect their townspeople, because you only usually get a few seconds of meeting, and there's a lot behind a person that we don't know. There's a very interwebbed connection in this town, which makes it feel very close and personal. So that, to me, is the common ground that I'm finding with all of these stories.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.